Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Dawson. So Dawson, welcome, man.
Hey, glad to be here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome, dude. So can you tell us your full type, please?
Yes, so I am an ISFP. I in OPS I am XF. They're questionable on the modalities, but FiSe consume, play, blast, sleep. So yeah, that's my type.
Gotcha. So you're either double feminine or masculine feminine. So
Yeah,
unsure.
yeah. The double feminine or the audio, kind of a mix up, but for sure the feminine DE. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then what did you think and how did you feel when you got your typing results back?
It was a whirlwind of emotions for sure, let me tell you. Because I typed myself close. I had typed myself as a audio ENTP and then blast. And so to get the sleep blast and then the decider of that, I was just like it just threw my world for a twist. I was like, wait, I'm a decider? I have people problems? What? No, I didn't know. So it was a bunch of panic, and I had to spend like hours processing out loud to myself to really fully understand it. And it's coming together now and sitting a bit more peacefully, but it was a lot.
I think because you have like double activated play, so it's not as intense as your like type type brothers and sisters, you know. So um,
Right.
you kind of like look like that WWE wrestler, like CM Punk. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, and he's definitely decided he has so much problem, always getting tribe hate and stuff. So, but he's so hyper popular too at the same time. So
Okay.
like I wonder if you guys are the same type now. But anyways,
I'll have to look into it.
yeah, he's like super popular. He's always in like he was in UFC too. They did like he tried into the UFC. He wasn't good, but he was better at like the fake fighting than the real fighting.
Ah,
Um,
I gotcha.
Okay, anyhow, so let's I want to talk about your sexual modalities first because that's like the
Yeah.
weird that's a weird one. So usually when they type people, they just give them a definitive type, even if it's a guess. So for you, you're like the first guy that I'm interviewing that had like the either FF or MF. Like,
Really?
well, they actually type you as XF. So this that's why I want to like address that first because that's like the elephant in the room. Like I think for most people watching this, especially in the OPS community, no one
Uh-huh.
has just gotten like XF. You know, it's either they got like an FF or MF, but like it's like a guess, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think you are from those two?
Oh, yeah, good question. I would say honestly the coin that I was most confident in was that I was audio. It was the masculine sensory and the feminine DE. I was just like, that's like out of anything else, that's the one I'm most confident in. So it's like that's where I'm leaning, but then for them to be like, I'm just like, okay, I'll hold back. I was wrong on everything else, but I definitely have a leaning for the audio. I think there are a number of reasons for that. I'm not visual whatsoever. I can't hold a visual picture. Like it's a struggle to even come up with a picture. Like I can't recall many scenes from my life. I do have an internal monologue. I feel like most of the time I can just kind of roll with just like speaking. I don't have a problem just like being able to just create information. I used to be like when I was a kid, I was like super aggressive. Like I was the kid that was like punching stuff, swinging at other kids. I like as a toddler, I busted a nursery window open with my head because I was that aggressive as like a baby. So I was like, I'm just kind of like piecing things together. I'm like, probably audio, but I'm just like, yeah, keeping options open.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't see anything, because like I'm the same as you, I can't picture any like I have trouble visualizing stuff. So
Yeah.
also audio. So I think maybe you are leaning towards audio. Uh
Yeah.
so maybe for that sense, maybe they just leave it to you to choose which one. So
Yeah.
so would you choose audio then in that case? Because that's how I want to move the interview forward then, if we're gonna go
For
with audio.
sure. I'm gonna hinge my guesses. I'm trying not to guess all the way, but I'm like, yeah, we'll lean 90% audio for you.
Well, you can't get you don't want to guess, because you have demon intuition.
Demon intuition. So I'm like,
Yeah,
don't go there.
yeah. But you have double observing, so you could if
I
you wanted.
could, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so if you were audio, that means you have feminine NI. If you
Yeah.
were tester visual, then you had a masculine NI. Which
Yeah.
one do you think you have?
Um, I guess it's difficult. I'm
Or
still kind of,
masculine SE? Because you used to break stuff, right? So
I used to. I feel like I've calmed down a lot more since then, and so it's like I don't see myself being as punchy. I decided I wasn't going to be aggressive anymore at like age 12. I was like, no, I need to sober up and then move on. So I don't see as much of the punchy anymore. And then I'm also like I understand a little bit of the masculine and I kind of what that looks like, but not fully. Do you have a better like description or picture of that?
um I think when people with masculine and I, they're just so sure what the future is gonna be. Like almost to the point of like arrogance and also at the same time, not just arrogance, but like not the word's not always arrogant, but there are some type that is definitely arrogant with it, especially like the INTJs and INFJs.
Yeah.
If they have the masculine NI, if they don't have it, they're not as arrogant or like super confident about it. Um, but the other thing too is a setness in the future where like this is the only thing, the only future. Like they've already concluded that this is the only thing that could happen. Because
Hmm.
people with NE like me, there's multiple possibilities, right? Kind of like MCU, they
Right.
have like multiple universes, right? So it's like there's multiple possibilities that can occur from one action. While if you had like masculine NI, there is one thing that's gonna happen from that one action. So but if you have feminine NI, you kind of think it's gonna be like this, but you're also open to like what the SE brings in because the masculine SE is still the boss, right? Because it's masculine. So
Yeah.
which one do you see yourself as? Like, do you see yourself as like the sensory is the one that will guide what's gonna happen to the future? Or like you have like an inkling feeling, because like NI is a guess, right? An inkling feeling that this is gonna happen and no sensory can convince you otherwise.
Yeah, I get you. I think part of it I'm just like with that savior sensory, even if I don't know if it would be different with someone with masculine intuition, but demon, where it's like, I'm guessing, but savior, I have to get the facts first. But even then, I don't feel like I'm like, don't jump there, don't go there. We don't know if that's gonna happen. Maybe gather more information. We'll see. It looks like it's going this way. Maybe let's just build up to it. That's my guess, but I'm not gonna say it. Let's build up, let's get the concrete evidence, and then we can look back and be like, well, is this, all that points to that. So
Right.
it's like I feel like it's hinging on the savior and maybe masculine. And then also, I guess in my speech as I'm going, I'm just like, the guesses are like, they kind of it feels like it's feminine, just like maybe this, maybe like it just
Right.
feels soft.
Okay. We can definitely address it as we go along
Yeah,
the interview. Let's start with your first animal,
for
consume.
sure.
So it's SEFI. It's like almost like an ESFP. Like those guys.
Yeah,
You are lead consume. Um, and if you were masculine feminine, it would be double masculine consume.
yeah,
But if you're not double masculine, it wouldn't be. So that's like another big one, right? So
right.
um the first question then is, do you feel like it's double masculine SF consume, like you're really hyper aggressive at like what you take in for yourself, and also how you present yourself, like because consume is also external self awareness, right? So are you hyper aware of how you come across at all time from an external perspective?
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that. That's definitely very interesting. It's hard to tell if it feels like that masculine consume, I must take in everything. It feels like I'll come off very masculine. If I want an answer from someone, then I'm like, okay, just give me like straight, just give me it straight. I don't want anything else. Okay, I got the information. Good. Let's get out of here. Get what you need. Go. Like I'm going, like when I go shopping, get what I want. I'm out like super fast. I don't like part of that. I don't feel like I necessarily do that like in reading or anything else I'm taking in. I don't feel like I'm like super aggressive honed in. I'm still trying to figure out, I suppose, what that masculine consume or what the other masculine animals look like, but I'm starting to get sort of an idea. So maybe I could see a little bit of that. But I also like what you said about the just being able to see yourself clearly. I feel like I have a better understanding of myself. I think the feminine DE helps a lot just to be like, oh, what does a tribe see? What do they say about me here, this here, there? What do they say about that? Like it's kind of like just it feels like I'm kind of seeing a lot more. So I feel like I see myself accurately. I've kind of taken that and I was sort of piecing my type together decently accurately, just a few coins off. So I feel like I had a better perception of that. So it could be masculine consume. But yeah, still kind of learning that.
Sounds good. Let's go over to the next one. This is the big one here, one of the bigger ones. Double activated play. Your play could either be so your play is ST, SETE. Because it's double activated, would you say that that has prevented you from having the typical tribe hate that the typical ISFP would have? Just because, and how are you with friends, by the way? Like, do you make friends easily? Is that like a big problem for you, or how do you personally see that?
Yeah. No, honestly, like when I got my type back, I was not expecting an IP because I am a glass lizard. And so I look like an EP. And that's what Dave said too. You're going to look like an EP. But then when the tribe issue comes in, oh, that's the big fear. And so a lot of times I will be like an EP. I'll make friends just like an EP. There will still be some drama, but I'm able to kind of roll through it. And I don't get tribe hate because I am seeing the tribe. I see what they like. I see what's going on. I'm like, okay, they said this about me. Let me back off. Let me hold up. And so I'm not like going all in on my way. I'm double activated DE. So I'm like, well, what's this person doing? This person. And then I'm seeing a broader spectrum. So it helps to balance me out. So I'm not just diving all into my thing, screw everyone else. I'm going my own way. It's like, okay, slow down, back up a little bit. Let's get along with the tribe. Come on, let's move together. Feminine DE. Let's
Right.
that helps a lot for sure. I think that's what saved me a lot.
Do you have friends that you've had since childhood that you're still friends with today, that you still hang out with and stuff?
Yeah, no, I'm proud to say that I've never lost a friendship. Well, lose. We sometimes we'll break apart and go our different ways, but I've never had a betrayal of any sorts. I still have I'd say I have two close high school friends who like we're still like super close, still connected with. I've definitely still had some tribe problems as an IP, like back when I was started when I was 17, but then once I got to college at 19, I just cut everyone off, found some new friends that got me and understood me, basically just ran away, started a new life for myself, cut everyone off. And now it's been kind of a 4 years at this point process of just like apologizing, going back over it, being like, hey, these were the people that cared about me the most. I probably need to go back and make things right with them and kind of rebuilding that and kind of working against myself and just continuing to fight that. So I've worked to maintain those friendships, but it easily could have gone the other way.
I see. So you salvaged some of them, even though there was
Yes.
some drama that occurred. And then
Yes.
how does it make you feel like no, like that you did that, that you didn't just let it slide, and just focus 100% on yourself. You went out of your way to maintain those relationships that you could have easily let slide. And um like, do you take pride in like, keeping those friendships and stuff?
A little bit. Now looking back, yeah. In the moment, it was more of the reverse, where it was very humbling, where it just hurt my pride because like it was that moment where I didn't realize all the people that I'd hurt in a 2 year time period, and then it just all came crashing down in 2020, and I was just like, I hurt everyone. That was all me. And then I had to kind of go back, and it was very humbling to be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, I want to apologize for this and this. I want to make things right. So very humbling. And I really had to break myself down there and kind of like just break down the DI, which helped a ton. And going forward, I feel like I have a much better perspective. My goal is to maintain as many relationships as possible and not let my DI get in the way. So that's been a big part of my life journey over the last couple of years, just trying to keep the peace, maintain the relationships. So I have had to work hard. I am proud. I'm trying not to let my DI get an ego boost, but I'm pretty proud of my relationships, but I'm trying to just keep a cool head and just be like, hey, I'm just here to serve and help as many people as I can. And that's the new mindset that I'm trying to get into.
When that chain of events happened, did they call you out on it, or did you do it yourself? Like, were you called out, or like what I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, both. It
Both.
was really like they saw it coming, they saw the development, and they were pointing it out, calling me out. Hey, we want you back in here. Come on, I know you can do it. This is the right thing to do. You know what you need to do. I see that you're being selfish. Hey, you need to stop that. And I was just like, I'll try, maybe. And then I wouldn't do it. And I'd be like, no, I'm good. And then I'd try to be nice, play the DE for a little bit. Then I'd just go and do my own thing. And then it was after a while that all their words were just kind of circling around for a while. And then finally that's when it hit and it broke. So it took a lot. It took a lot for that to sink in.
Right.
But both. Yeah.
When you get called out by the tribe, do you appreciate it, like that they told you the truth and stuff, and so that you have something to work with, or do you get mad at them for like for going to that route, or like how do you feel about it when you get called out and stuff?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it definitely hurts. Like it hits your pride. Like I kind of just stonewall and I'm just like, yeah, do I do that? I'm just kind of like I'm like, I don't want to engage, like I like whatever. But I try never to be right. I just want to figure out what the truth is. And so even if they say something that's hurtful, it's like, oh, is that how they see me? Is that what I'm doing? So I still want to take it from that perspective. But it still hurts. And in the past, I have walled off. I try to be more open to it and try to be like, maybe I am doing that. And it's become easier over the years. But yeah, it's definitely still like a very, very defensive. But I do appreciate it looking back because like if they hadn't called me out, I would have gone down a way wrong path. I could have been just all on me, and I never would have figured that out if I hadn't had people that cared about me enough to call me out. So super important. And I always look for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if they don't call you out, that means they don't care about you. So that's like a good sign that they care. So it's
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because like yeah, I mean like every time people call you out, you'd be like, yes, people care, like because otherwise they don't, right? And that's even worse, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So
For sure.
yeah, I think for any IP that I think that's like yeah, you might perceive as a tribe hate, but it's actually like the tribe cares and
Yeah.
they want you to recalibrate because they don't want you to go to the path where you're like you actually get the real tribe hate, which is people just ghost you and then no one cares about you anymore, right? So
Yeah. And
yeah,
they're all talking behind your back and
yeah, exactly. It's better to talk shit to your face than you're behind your back.
oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what friends do. We just talk shit to each other. um,
Right.
yeah, yeah. You also blast activated, and so if you were double, if you were masculine feminine, if you were in audio, your blast would be double feminine. Um, but if you were double feminine, then your play would be double feminine. So that it and that would change things a lot actually. So let's go with your blast. If your blast was double feminine, it would be the same as Dave's, exactly the same, because he is
Yeah.
you guys have the same are in the same quadra, and you know,
Right.
and he's always saying that his blast is like I don't know, it's just like a fart gas or something. Like how do you see how would you see your blast? Because I'm talking to you right now and you're pretty well spoken, which actually obviously tells me that your blast is present because you have no problem explaining things. um it's
Uh-huh.
also involves getting started and stuff. So what's your opinion of your blast and how do you personally use it? And then I have follow-up questions afterwards.
Oh yeah. Um, I'm still trying to figure that out, and yeah, would definitely love because I know you also have like double feminine play and sort of like audio, I guess, blast. So it'd be interesting to kind of like ping that and see the differences there. It's hard to tell, I suppose, because especially with the feminine DE and with blast being a demon, it's like I don't like controlling the tribe. I don't like telling people what to do. You're not going to hear me blast or share or talk unless it's like in a one-on-one interview like this, where for the most part, I'm just going to take the back seat and let everyone else talk. I'll bird chirp, I'll ping and play off, but it's like my blast, I never bring it forth very much because, and it just feels very feminine. And so that's kind of how I see it. And it's only over the last year that I really feel like I've been able to work on my blast and I've noticed it a lot more. And it has kind of a stronger kick to it. I don't know if sometimes I associate that with the TE. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's because it has some masculine component to it or if it's the audio where I can just speak through it. But it feels like it's getting stronger the more that I work on it. So I'm really enjoying that part. But so it does feel feminine for sure. I'm just not sure how much.
Blast is also teaching. Would you say you enjoy teaching other people?
I'm More so, more so. I've had a lot of teaching opportunities over the last year, and I work with I'm a case manager, so I work with clients, and a lot of times I will do kind of coaching. I don't do a lot of teaching, but when I do enjoy it, just being able to share that, just share like all the information I've taken in over the years. Like I really enjoy that part. So I do enjoy it. It just ends up being pretty draining for me once, like after talking for a long period of time.
Right. So one of the things that David Shan said about ISFPs compared to your like TI cousins, essentially,
Mhm.
is the TIs they have FE in the bottom, so they want to connect with the tribe emotionally, right? Like
Hmm.
doing fun stuff, right? Like going to the movies, dinners, all that stuff, you know. But for you guys with the TE at the bottom, you want to connect through work with people.
Hmm.
Can you talk about like the desire to connect through work? Like you want to like collaborate with others and do like projects together and stuff. Like do you crave that? Do you enjoy that? Like what's your take on that? Because that's kind of like what they saw, but they were showing like an older ISFP, right? So obviously someone that has like thought things through. They're in their 50s probably, you know, like you're in your 20s, right? So
Right.
right. So but from your current perspective, how do you see collaborations, teamwork, like trying to achieve work together with others?
Hmm. Interesting. No, I hadn't heard that perspective. Mm, I mean I definitely still enjoy the emotional connection because maybe it's the FI where it's just like once my FI clings to someone, it's like I want an emotional connection with them, but not really anyone else. I'm like, if I have like someone in my FI box to say, then it's like, oh, I want that emotional connection. Like, let's go deep. Let's talk about the real stuff. So I enjoyed that part once it's that kind of deep connection. But I do enjoy connecting over some work, some projects. I don't do a lot of projects with others. I mean, maybe still Demon TE, but I enjoy that aspect of just being able to do something with someone together, having someone just kind of just trying to figure things out together. For the most part, I don't feel like I'm that helpful. Maybe I'm still working on my TE. I don't actually get a whole lot done. I'm just there to kind of humor the situation and and people. I'm probably more of a burden than anything, but at least I'm enjoyable, an enjoyable burden, I suppose. Where it's like
Yeah,
I'm not actually helping anything. I'm just keeping the mood light while everyone else works.
right.
So still working on that. So maybe I'm not quite developed as much, so I'm not seeing that as much, but maybe little bits and pieces. I kind of had to think about that a little bit more and see that play out.
So that's your external awareness that's kicking in. You're aware that you're that's what's happening and you're not like blind to it. So um,
Yeah.
um well it's cool, man. You're still young, so it's not a big deal. Like I felt that way too. Like when I was younger, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm useless to this workplace. Like I don't have any value.
Yeah.
Obviously as you get older, you build up skill set and it becomes different, right? Um so how do you feel about like not having like that skill set to be the one that's producing and being the key role in the job, and you're just like you're more like a support role right now, you know, kind of like from like a an emotional side of things, kind of like you know, as what you describe, you're keeping the mood light and stuff. So you're an IP, so do you crave to be like the guy that eventually is the producer, the guy, the top guy, the head honcho, or not so much?
No, I don't really like the idea of being at the top. I want to be good at what I do, and I want to build those connections with other people. But I don't want to be anything like super great. Like I want to, I guess, feel proud of the things that I've achieved, but not necessarily above anyone else. I just kind of want to help other people along. I want to get to a point where I'm far enough along where I can help raise other people up to kind of teach them kind of some things that I've learned over the years. So kind of that mentorship role. So a little bit of that. And then you said, oh yeah, yeah, about producing. Um, I mean, I would like to actually get more done. I think especially the more that I'm recognizing, because I thought I was Savior T, but I was like, well, I am pretty fine with the emotions. Like good and bad emotions are fine. Like I don't got a problem with that. I'm not like I'll still hit that like deep masculine FI wall in my demon sleep just like out of nowhere. Like I don't know what I'm feeling most of the time, but it's like it makes sense that I'm not getting a lot done and everything is just contingent upon oh, do I want to do this? Do I feel like doing this? Oh, let's do this for a little bit. I'm bored anyway. Let's go do something else. And it's like I'll switch so fast. If someone wants me to get something done, I'll get it done. Like I'll get it done, no questions asked. Like I gotcha. If the tribe wants me to do something, I'll do something. But if I'm motivating myself, the production level is just all over the place, scattered, not very focused. If I'm passionate, I'll do it, but then I'll be like, next thing. Let's switch it up. I'm bored. I need to get up and move around. Like, that's tough.
I guess that means you're not a social type 1.
Yeah.
So what social type do you think you are? Like, so you're either 2, 3, and 4 then. So 2 would be more like entrepreneurial, wants to be the manager. Still would save your friends though. So with people and stuff. And then 4 would be, as you know, save your friends, and then with a little bit of specialization. So pretty much they just want to get a job and then be told what to do, and that's good enough. As long as they're happy, that's the most important thing. And then 3 is like you're like really good at that one area, and then you're kind of showy offy for that like one specific placement at work. That's why they have Savior Flex also, the 3s. But at the core of it, routine is their like desire, right? It's routine and like being good at that one thing in that one niche. So which one do you see yourself as?
Yeah. I would say I think it's between the 4 and the 2. I definitely feel like my life goal is to build relationships, to connect with people, to kind of help build people up. Right now, I guess I'm slightly leaning towards, I think I would say I'm a number 4 wanting to become a number 2. So, I mean, it could just be I'm early on and still developing and still figuring things out, but I don't have a lot of ambition. I'm not competitive. I don't want to run my own business. Like I'm in grad school right now to become a therapist, and the therapist I work for is like, hey, you just think about like starting your own practice, starting this, and I'm like, it'd be nice to have that taken care of, and I can just do my therapy stuff, and other people can manage the business, and sure, like I'll do that, and then I can help other. So I'm like, and so I don't know if it's like I don't really want to be the one running everything, and I still want to connect, but I also want to help raise people up. So I'm still weighing that out. But I think that will become more clear over the years as I kind of develop my mission. But I'm still working on that. But I'd say it's between those two.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a 4 because
Yeah.
like because 2 would be a demon then. But it also means it would be activated as you get older. So if you look at like the timeline, right? So you're at first you're 4, you just want to have fun with friends, hang out, blah blah blah. And then you get a little bit older, and then now you have the 3 becomes activated. Now you want to specialize. So you're like good at this one area. In your case, you want to be in as a therapist, right? Essentially,
Right.
or counseling. So
Right.
yeah, so that's gonna be your niche. And then that's when you said, I don't want to do like the management stuff. I want to be good at my job. So that's like 3, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get older, the 2 kicks in, and now you're like, maybe I should manage, because then that's the 2, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then finally the 1 is like, oh, okay, and then maybe I can name the company after myself. So that's kind of like that's kind of like the timeline, because like there's like a
Yeah.
timeline that you follow, right? So um okay. So what do you think about that?
No, that makes a little bit more sense. I could see that kind of coming into play. It's like the end goal for me, I think, is to become a number 2. But I'm like, I don't feel ready yet, and I think my life has been characterized more by the 4 of just like I've moved to management positions very fast in jobs, but I'm like, I don't want to tell people what to do. You guys just do what you want. I'm getting a bit bigger paycheck. It's fine. Just have fun, guys, and whatever. And I don't take the job seriously. I'm just like, so very much more number 4-ish. Just like I want to keep the friendship part of this and whatever. So I'd say that's probably an accurate assessment.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. It's always interesting to have an IP boss, because I've had IP bosses. Like one of my bosses is an IP actually for the one of my jobs. I have 2 jobs, so
Oh,
uh
nice.
so yeah, he kind of does the same thing. He's like, as long as you're doing your job, I don't care. That's what he'll say, and then he'll just go into the little corner, right?
Yeah.
Like very like hands off. But I had another IP boss who was super controlling, but probably like a jumper IP.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, okay, that's cool. I definitely like. Did they type you with your social type, or didn't say anything?
No, they didn't have any input on that, but
Okay. Maybe you can like email them just to ping, just quickly ask.
Okay. What do you guys think?
Yeah, because I did that like recently. I just like I was just curious, so I asked them. They're like,
Yeah.
you're either a 4 or 2. We're not sure. Either there's a case made for both. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, at least I narrowed down, so I'm not a 1 or 3. So at least that that's how I see it.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair.
And then I asked, I think I'm a 2, and then I asked the tribe what they think, and then they think I'm a 2. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
so maybe that's what you gotta do also. Just like ping your friends, but don't use OPS terms obviously, because then they won't know what you're talking about, right? So
yeah, that's not a bad idea, and at least it helps you narrow things down. You're like, well, probably maybe this, and then you can kind of see where that goes, and like, oh yeah, I do see myself like that.
Yeah, because David Shan always says that like when they're typing someone, it's always important to know, it's like, what do people say about this person? Because that tells you a lot about like their actual type, right? So for example, for you, if you're like an IP, they'll be like, oh yeah, he's selfish. That's kind of like the what do you call it? Like the stereotype, right? I mean, I don't think all IPs are selfish. I mean, you guys are selfish, but like I have a lot of IP friends, and I think I'd rather have the selfishness on the front end than the back end.
Oh, then an EJ overcompensating, but really they're just looking for
because you guys swing, right? Like IPs and EJs are the same, and EPs and IJs are the same. So EPs, for example, we're like scared, control, and chaotic on the front end, but then when we swim, become controlling and stuff. So and actually scared of chaos. So it's like it has like this weird swing. So for you guys, you're selfish in the front end, but like generous in the back end, right? And then you swing between those, and then it's kind of like managing expectations. So people expect you to be selfish, and then you do something nice for them. It's kind of like a pleasant surprise. But if you're like an EJ that's like nice all the time and you become selfish, then people are like, what the fuck, right? Like, so I kind of prefer that. And I think maybe that's the reason why like I'm looking at my friends right now. I have more IP friends than EJ friends. Because like I can't stand that like IP swing from the EJ. It's like it's annoying. So annoying. But like with the IP, it can only go good from here. Like like for you guys.
It's kind of terrible way to put it, but
I know, it's terrible. But it can only go uphill from here because you're already like a jerk in the front end. No offense, But then I know that you're gonna be nice in the back end. So because like I said, I have IP friends, and when the EJ swing kicks in, it's really nice. So and then I noticed with IPs, it's kind of like what you said earlier during the interview. You're like, if someone's in your FI box, you want to have an emotional connection with them and stuff.
Yeah.
So I do see that with like IPs. Is like if you are in their IP box, then there's like a higher probability that they're like that you guys will want to take care of the other person too. Make sure that they're happy. So so it's just like observations and stuff. So I know, it's so horrible to say it that way, but I'm just saying, like from a double decider perspective, that's kind of what I'm observing and stuff. I'm friends with the type, so it's just like a preference thing. Let's cover your last animal, dude.
Yeah.
I want to leave it in the end because the sleep thing is like usually the big one. Sleep is your inner identity. It's your inner self-awareness. So it's like because consume is half of it. That's the external self-awareness. So sleep is the inner one. Your sleep is NF. So finding meaning from within. That's kind of like the best way for me to describe it. It's like it's like you take in a bunch of different life experience, and then you kind of know what your life purpose is, based on those life experiences that you've gathered, either with people or just from what you consume personally. You're still young, so it's kind of hard to narrow it down. But what's kind of like your inkling feeling of what your life purpose is, if you had to guess? I know and it's NI, so you have to guess. You can't run away from this.
Yep.
What's your guess right now in 2023 at your current age? And it's good we're doing this because later you can look back. You're like, oh, was I off or were you on point, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, let's hear your take on this.
Yeah. It's definitely been a difficult one, being that demon NI-Fi, where it's like I'm still lead FI, but I still don't know what I want in life. Most of the time it's like I've never known where I'm going. And it's like it slowly just pieces together. I get pushed into things and I'm like, oh, maybe I kind of like this. And then my path will start to develop more. And I'm like, oh, maybe I do want to become a therapist. And so I'm like, well, that maps out my life at least for the next 2 years, maybe 5. And then so I'm like, okay, so things fall in place. But after that, I'm like, I don't know. Um, but as I've begun piecing that together more and more, mostly this year, I think. And I'd say for my life purpose right now, it's like I do want to just build up as many skills as I possibly can and help as many people as I can, just almost like just through therapy, through counseling, help them to recognize their faults, blind sides, things that are catching them off guard, really help shaping people and directing them, like helping them just redirect in life. I really want to just be kind of in that mentorship role and just being a light to other people as much as I can. And then also just as of right now, I'm learning a lot on leadership. I've been reading Jocko's Extreme Ownership. Great, has the same sleep demon as I do. Maybe I can pick up something nice from that. But it's like, okay, I kind of see I want to be a leader. I want to be someone that stands firm on my values. I want to I guess I have these leadership ideals that I'm sort of formulating. I'm not quite sure, but I do want to kind of take on more of those mentorship, just ownership, responsibility. Like I do want to start taking on more of those roles. It is very vague. I don't have a concrete plan of what I want to do, but over the next 10 years at least, I just want to mentor other people just in my career and then also in my personal life. Just find younger guys than I who are at the level I am maybe now or even younger. Like I'm kind of teaching some high school boys right now, and so I want to kind of develop those skills and help people along, just navigate through life. So I kind of see that that's my role, and I'm kind of pointing to the future of okay, I think this is where my trajectory is headed. So in a vague sense, I sort of know the direction I'm going, and I'm trying to piece together what it looks like in the future. So it's still very much demon state, very much I don't know, but I know the direction, I know the path I want to go, sort of, but just trying to build the steps to get there, and see as it plays out. We'll see, and just kind of let it take shape from there. So yeah, that's kind of my direction.
Cool, man. That's a good first step. Really good. Mentoring the high school kids. That's definitely a good first step to finding out. Obviously, you're not gonna find if you don't want to be like those INTJs that like just narrowed it down at like 20. Like, I mean, that's so ridiculous. Like,
I
you
know.
you don't know anything about life yet. You're like so I think like the fact that you just said like you're doing all this smaller stuff right now, that's perfect. That's exactly what you need to do. And then like reading Jocko's book, I think that would also fix a lot of your EP problems because you're like a you're like an IPEP, right? So
Right.
you're gonna have EP problems also. So um that will solve the minor problem, which is good. You want that, right?
Yeah.
You can't solve the big problems, you can't solve the small ones also, right?
Mhm.
Uh, have you looked into reading also David Goggins' book? Because he's amazing.
I haven't watched any videos on him, but I was gonna get his book after I finished Jocko's. Like I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, because like from my perspective, I read Jocko's. I mean, I finished his audiobook, The Extreme Ownership,
Yeah.
and then I read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and also his new book,
Yeah.
like The
Hmm.
Grind Never Ends or something like that. Like he
Hmm.
has a second book that just came out.
Okay, nice.
It's actually like a sequel to the first one because the story continues on his life. It's really good. I like it.
Okay.
The first one's better though. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because the first one's full of like anger and pain, which I really like. Uh,
Right, right. Digging into the FI, the demon
yeah,
F.
man. Yeah, I love the deep FI is it's. I have sleep loss too, like you. So
Yeah.
I think for us, he's also sleep loss like us. So
Right.
so when you see someone going through like that deep FI pain and suffering and like getting conclusions out of it, that is like magic in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
that's where the magic happens. I will never be at his level. That's insane. The amount of suffering he put himself through. I don't have the I don't want to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But
I feel yeah.
but I also think like because I'm like reading his book and stuff, and I'm like, it's insane like for people with FI like us, if you actually put yourself in that much suffering, how much wisdom you have. It's incredible. Like
Mm.
you can have as much theory as you want, and I really like David Chan's work, and I like them as a person too.
Oh yeah.
I think my only like if I had to make like one, what do you call it, like one small
Criticism.
criticism for them is like a lot of the stuff that they learn is from what they watch and stuff. And I'm not saying they didn't have a hard life. Like obviously they talked about like
Sure.
having to steal food when he was younger and stuff, which is really good life experience in my opinion. Like being in that situation. I can relate to him. I've been in that situation too, where like if I didn't, I had like a job with like 100% sales, and if I don't make a sale, I get evicted or I don't have money to pay for food. So
Dang.
I can totally relate to that stuff. So but yeah, man, like, but David Goggins not only like had he went to Navy SEAL and all that stuff. He had a
Yeah.
rough childhood and like abusive family and stuff. And it's like even if you read the book, the one thing he'd say is, I should have never been where I am right now. Like all the odds were stacked
Yeah.
against him. So it's
Oh
like a
yeah.
very IP story, but he's not an IP. He's actually an EJ, which is weird, right? So
Right.
so like even for you, you could relate to that because like you know as an IP, the tribe would be technically against you. Um, you know what I mean? Because that's
Right.
like the math says that, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. Right.
right. But then how can you make them go with you? Because you could get them to work with you too. It's your
Mhm.
choice. At the end of the day, you're responsible for what happens to you, right? So
Right.
yeah, yeah. So anyways, I want to go back to your sleep then. In like
Yeah.
going back, because you guys have the same sleep as David Goggins, right?
And Jocko and David. And so
Yeah.
it's like double feminine, double masculine. So I'm like, well, I'm hitting both ends of the sleep. So we'll see what I learn from
Exactly. Yes, yes, that's true.
them.
But I want to go to what Jocko says, and then also kind of like what David Goggins says. Um, so NF sleep usually, when you narrow it down, you can have like one phrase that you can live by, like a mantra or a code, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Jocko, it's obvious. It's extreme ownership or
Right.
discipline equals freedom, right?
Yeah.
That's so when he took the time to narrow it down after living his life of hardship and stuff, his is discipline equals freedom, which is good because he's an EP and EP wants freedom, but the only way to get freedom is to control yourself. The reason why EPs get controlled is because they're out of control. So someone else has to do it, and then they freak out. It's like that's your fault. If you weren't out of control, no one would have controlled you, right? It's like with IP, right? No one's gonna get tribe hate if you were not selfish. That's your fault. Like that's on you. If you were just
Yeah.
like, if you just put in your schedule once a week, do something nice for others. Oh, the problem is solved. You don't even have to do that much, really. Like once a week, you can even probably get away with once a month. Like,
Yeah.
like so, um, and then for David Goggins, it's to have a callous mind. That's his saying, right?
Yeah.
You get to
Yeah.
the point where you have so much pain that you're like David Goggins, his goal is to be the hardest man in the world, like the toughest person in the world.
Nice.
Hardest kind of sounds kind of like weird, but
Sure.
like,
Sure.
but
Tough. Yeah.
yeah, the toughest man in the world, and then that's hence like how he derived the callous mind, because like after you've experienced so much suffering, you get numb to it and it doesn't hurt anymore, you know.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense. That's
yeah,
awesome.
so those are their code, right? And then what's his name? Steve Jobs. Also he's an INTJ, so his code is stay curious, stay foolish, right? Which is really good for his type because he's an IJ. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
stay curious is like to gather, to let new information in, which is like the opposite of IJ, which is like I already know everything, right?
Yeah.
And then stay foolish means make mistakes, which could cause chaos, right? So it's like a
Right.
really good code for like IJs. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm just wondering, for you as an IP, have you given this any thought of like creating like a personal code that you could adhere to that is very growth mindset for your specific type and for you, and also you can relate to as a person as Dawson, because this is just because you're an ICP doesn't mean you're the same as the other ICPs. You're just your life experience is yours. So have you given this any thought? And if
Mhm.
not, has there been any like saying that you kind of can latch onto, be like, I really relate to that one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so good. I mean, I really need to narrow down that value. That mantra, just like who I want to be in life. What's the code I'm going to live by? Like super epic. It's just so hard to narrow it down. I'd say there's about two ideas I can think of. One of them is just always trying to live sacrificially and live by serving others. That's kind of one idea where it's like I always just want to be in the mindset of just living by sacrifice, dying to myself, and trying to help others as much as I can. But I know I don't always live by that. So it's still one I'm kind of working on. Then one that I've really adopted as like, I guess it's similar to the Lewis Howes 3 truths, but instead it's kind of more of the Lewis Howes 3 values of like, but I'd say there's one value I've kind of narrowed down that I really want to make my life about, is that I always want to treat every individual as if there's someone I can learn from. Regardless of who they are, where they've come from. I have 50 clients. Most of them are in worse spots than I am, but I still try to treat them with a level of respect that I can still learn something from them, even if it feels like I can't, even if I'm annoyed by them, even if I don't like them. It's like, no, I can still learn something from them. And I always try to adopt that mindset. And so I always try to take on the role of a learner, which kind of plays in some of my parts as a consume play, kind of learning from others. But very much more that tribe focus of just treating everyone with respect, not making things about me, but just trying to make everything about everyone else and trying to help others along. So I have some ideas, some bits and pieces I'm trying to connect and work together. So I think that's kind of maybe around where I'll be making that code of sorts. So it'd be interesting to see as that plays together over the years as I begin stacking that pattern. But I think that's the direction I'm kind of wanting to take that.
Yeah, I think that's a good first step for sure. I agree with you. There's an ISFP that I think you should look into. Have you watched wrestling as a kid, like WWE, or no?
Oh no.
Okay. Anyway, there's a wrestler. His name is The Undertaker. Have you heard of him?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, you know The Rock, right? Obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Do you know Steve Austin, like those guys?
Yes.
Okay. So there's another one. His name's The Undertaker. He's an ISFP. They typed him in the class. Um,
Yeah.
and then he's blast last. He's a consume, sleep, play blast, ISFP, double masculine.
Asking, yeah.
And then he on his final speech before he retired from wrestling, he finally blasted, which was super cool because it was like, I don't know, 50 plus years of like charge up blast. And I think his was the perfect ISFP mantra that he provided. It was so good. Like if you watch his retirement speech, he talked about his code. And one of them was really very good, which is something that his dad gave to him apparently. So when he was young, he hit like early success, and then he became like WWE champion or something. And then he went home to his dad, and then he told his dad like all the money he's making now, and like he's the champion. And his dad looked at him. He's like, "You're saving up those money, right? You're not just like spending it." And he's like, "Yes, sir." And then his dad gave him an advice that he took to heart. And his dad said, on your way to the top, just make sure you treat other people with respect, because for every person that you step on to get to the top are the same asses you're gonna kiss on your way down. That's kind of like what his dad said to him.
Huh.
And then it like makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, shit, like, so if you treat people like respect on your way up, you don't have to kiss anyone's ass on the way down, right? So it's and then so that's kind of like how he's kind of lived his career, working in a professional wrestling world, is treat people with respect all the time, and he's respected as a result. Crazy, eh? You want to be respected, you treat people with respect. It's not magic, So he had two mantras. Is one of them is an IP mantra, one of them is like an EJ mantra. So the IP mantra was like, live your life according to your design, right?
Okay.
Which is very IP like.
Right, it is.
So that's not really a growth mindset thing to say for IPs, because that's like
Duh.
they're doing already.
I'm already doing it.
But I like how he had two, and the second one was like the EJ one. So I thought I'd like pass it along to you because I feel like, you know, there might be a like a good one because I've been watching like different ISFPs. I'm like, I don't see many ones with like good code. That was the only one that I saw that was like actually a good code.
There's not
So
a lot, unfortunately.
yeah, it's terrible. Hey, that's an opportunity for you because not many IPs or ISFPs are doing this properly. So that means
I'm on my own road by myself. That's what I love best.
yeah, exactly, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that this is a good thing. You know, when people say, oh, you know, like the problem with the people with SE, like extrovert setting, is like, oh, I don't think that's gonna work for you. No one's done it. You know, it's like in like SET. But then maybe the way you think about it's like maybe that's a good thing because no one has done it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
You're
So
right.
like Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like one of the books that he always recommends people to read is called The Blue Ocean Strategy.
Huh. Okay. Haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's like it's a business book, but you can apply it to real life too. But like he said like there's like the red ocean and the blue ocean. So the red ocean is like it's red because it's full of blood from like everyone that's already fighting over like this one area, right?
I see.
Yeah. So you want to be in the
Okay.
blue ocean where you're the only one. So you're creating something different and unique and new. Um and by doing that, you know, eventually all blue oceans becomes red is what the book says.
Right.
But if you're there first, then you're kind of like ahead of the curve.
Right.
And even if it becomes red, you're still like the known brand essentially
Hmm.
for that first area. So if
Hmm.
you're like the ISFP that does like a lot of like the EJ stuff,
Yeah.
then you're the guy that's gonna be on top of the mountain for this one area for like ISFPs who's actually like doing things that's more like TE like, um, as opposed to just mostly like FI like. And then now you're ahead of the curve because then you're actually different from the other ISFPs because they're not those guys. They're not doing any of that stuff, you know.
Right.
But you are, so you're special, right? So it's
Good point. Good
yeah,
point.
yeah, because that's what Dave said, right? So a lot of people want to be special, but no one's actually special because no one's doing the right thing, you know.
Right.
But if you
Yeah.
do the right thing, then you're special, you know. You know.
Right. Right. You're breaking away from everyone else, and everyone think like all the ENFPs who want to dress in the weird clothes, but then they're all doing it and they think they're
Yeah,
different, but they're
exactly,
not.
exactly.
All the DIs are going their own way. Oh, I'm so different. It's like, no, everyone else did that too, by the way.
Yeah, all the ENFPs smoking weed and like dressed like a hippies, and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, I can see a better future while they're sitting there smoking weed, doing no production to make the world a better place. I
Right.
can shit on the
Exactly.
EP because I'm one, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want to be like those people because then they're just
Yeah.
hypocritical, you know. Um,
Yeah. Exactly.
all right, dude, we're gonna wrap up the interview shortly. Do you have any final message before we wrap this up?
A final message of sorts.
Yeah, like something that you want to discuss or something that you want to say before we wrap this up, you know, or a question that you have for me. I don't know, whatever.
Oh man, so tough. So tough. Um, no, I'm really just trying to work on myself. Really, I came into here, I came into OPS trying to figure out other people and use this as a framework for therapy, counseling, use it to understand the people in my life. And now it's been like, oh, self-growth for me. I thought I knew myself. I'm awesome. I'm great. Oh, wait, I have a lot more to learn. Uh,
Right.
so I'm taking this to heart and I'm actually trying to spend the time processing it, pinging it out. I'm sure both you and I guess this isn't maybe a way I can take this, but I'm really trying to work on the sleep processing, but I'm lazy. I'm not actually slowing down, resting, thinking through things. My channel
Right.
change is just next thing, next thing, next thing.
Right.
No, moving on. So just really trying to work on the sleep processing. And I know yours is a little bit different than my NF sleep. You have the SF sleep. But how's it been? I mean, you've been in this a lot longer, knowing your sleep last. How's it been working on the sleep? And what are some TE tips you can give me to help really narrow that down, figure out values and all that jazz?
Right. Let me think. I think for sleep, I think the way you want to look at it is like all the different dimensions of sleep, right? So I feel like there's 4 different dimensions. I'll use myself as an example, and then you could take away what you want. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so I have SF sleep, and you have NF sleep, right?
Yeah.
So look at all the different definitions of sleep. So one part of sleep is setting boundaries with the tribe. That's the first one. That's not gonna be a big problem for you because you're an IP. I wouldn't even worry about that.
I know.
But for me as an EP, it's gonna be a minor problem because I'm sleep last and I'm also tribal above self, so it's gonna be a problem for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be the biggest problem. It's a minor problem that I need to address, and which I have. I've kind of like categorized people. I know it sounds horrible, but so like I have friends that I see as like, this is a once a year friend. This is a once every 3 months friend. This is a once every this is a 4 times a year friend. This is like a once a week friend, you know. So I've put people in boxes, in categories, in like SI detail of like yeah. So I'm like, I already hit the quota for this guy, for this, or this girl for this year. I'm not gonna see them again for another year. Even if they want to hang out again, I'm like, nope.
Okay.
I'll just tell them I'm busy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just tell them I'm busy, you know. So that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
And then people might get upset, but that's how it is. But but I still communicate. So I think not communicating is horrible. I think that's what I kind of criticized with David Chan a little bit especially in the past. I think they're a little bit better now, but in the past they're like really horrible communicators. You know, they're energy dom, right? So obviously,
Right.
It makes sense based on their type. But like now they improve a lot. So you know, so they're obviously taking the right steps. Um, so second part of sleep is rest, right? So that one's obvious. I don't know if you're resting enough, but for me that was like the biggest problem, is getting enough sleep. I actually did my DNA test. It said that I actually had bad sleep, so it validated OPS, like sleep loss. You might want to take your DNA test
Nice.
just to see. And I watched an interview with Dana White. I don't know if you know him, like the UFC president.
Heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he sleep last ENTJ, right? So he did like some blood work or something, and it turns out he had like 10 years to live. And then he went to a sleep clinic to like address like the sleep issue, and also he fixed his diet and stuff. So I went to a sleep clinic after I watched that interview because I freaked out. I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to have 10 years to live. So
Right.
and then I went to the sleep clinic. Turns out I have like moderate sleep apnea, so I have a CPAP machine now that I sleep with, you know, to help me sleep and stuff. And it's been like, you know, making a big difference. So I'm like, okay, so I'm like taking care of the sleep part. I don't know if you have bad sleep or not, but when you're young, you can get away with it. So it's kind of hard to say. But so, anyways, another part of sleep is like the actual SF flavor. So yours is NF. So this is where we're gonna be different, because the first thing I mentioned is gonna be kind of similar. So for me, for SF, it's like SIFI, health routine, right? So having like a sleep routine, a workout routine, a mental health routine, what else? And eating clean, right? So like meal prepping. So having a routine for everything. So like that part is kind of a little bit shaky still. I'm still working on it. Like I used to work full time in the fitness industry. Now it's just like a side hobby. But like I don't have a problem with working out, because I do it on a weekly basis just because of my job. Nutrition has been not great, so I need to start meal prepping more. I'm meal prepping now, so I'm fixing it, but it's always been a problem. Sleep routine has also been bad, because like I'm play blast, so I'm always producing, but then at the end of the day I want to consume, which takes away from sleep, which is a problem. So sleep routine, like exactly this time I need to sleep, right? And then mental health. I started seeing a psychologist actually. So yeah, just to like get all of like emotions that is like not serving me, or at least getting a conclusion for certain emotions I'm feeling. So that's been really good. I highly recommend everyone to see a psychologist. Like even if you're already a psychologist, like one of my client at work, with my personal training job, he's a psychologist. He has a PhD in psychology, and he sees a therapist. You know, so he's not a hypocrite, right? He's like, yeah, I see a therapist, and I also see a couple therapists. He has 2 therapists for him and his wife. Yeah. So I'm like, dude, this guy's like, not, he's not like a cocky therapist that's already on top of the mountain. He still sees one himself. So I think that's really good. So I'm seeing a therapist. So that's kind of like for the routine part. And then the last part is the SF side, which is like being cool and popular, you know, presenting myself in that way. That one is horrible. I need to work on that. Like when I was in college and I was like single and stuff, I was like trying to look good and stuff, right? So I was doing my SF when I was like in my 20s, but then now I'm not doing it at all in my 30s, which is horrible. So I need to work on that. And then like you know,
Hmm.
like one of the things that I have issues with is feeling disrespected by the tribe. And then and then I think about it, I'm like, I'm getting disrespected because I'm disrespecting the SF. It's my fault, you know. Because when I was in my 20s and I was like ripped, dressing nice and stuff, I never got disrespected. Like
Yeah.
not that much. So it's like it's my fault, like why it's happening. Because I'm
Yeah.
like you still have to present yourself to the world externally, right? So I'm like, well shit, you know, so that's on me. So that's not on anybody. I take responsibility for that. So you know,
Yeah.
that's how I'm like figuring out the sleep part. Is looking at all the different dimension and like
Yeah.
and figuring out where my problem is and then putting some effort into those areas. Obviously, you take it one step at a time. You can't fix everything. So right now I'm taking care of the health side, and later I'll take care of the SF side, right? So for you, that's how you're gonna want to see it. Like look at your actual sleep, um, you know, the NF part. Like, are you reading the vibe or not? You know, do you have a code or not? You know, like all
Yeah.
this stuff.
Right.
If you don't have a code, then you're probably fucking up somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and if you yeah, are you reading the vibe for you and the people inside your FI? You know, are you
Mm.
reading the vibe of the tribe? Because that's what Dave always says, right? He reads the vibe of Shan because Shan's in his FI box, right? So when Shan's triggered, he'll tell her to, hey, stop block banging. We need to talk about this problem. Talk about the feelings, right? You know, so you know, taking responsibility for that, right? So like, are you doing that when you feel like can you sense the vibe from the tribe? If there's like a problem or like bad emotions happening, you know, are you just saying I'm gonna do my own thing, or are you gonna take the responsibility and go to the tribe and be like, hey man, or if it's a girl, like you know, like hey, like it's like what's I feel like something's off here. Can we talk about it? You know, and that's taking responsibility for it, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Right.
vibe, right? Like, are you doing that right now? I don't know. You tell me, right? So
It's, hmm. No, definitely. I think some of it being the savior FI, it's like I'm still responsible for the vibe. I have a decent read of the vibe with the double activated DE, but sometimes I'm not like, I'm not gonna tell people what to do. I'm just gonna, I'll let that one slide. And so I'll kind of like let the vibe just like, they take it what they want. I'll let it be. It's
okay,
whatever. So I probably need to step in more with that.
well, I mean, so it's just part of your demon NI also, right? It's like you have to make a guess and you have to leap on it, right? So
Yeah.
you have to be like, hey, I feel like there's some bad juju happening here. Am I right or wrong? You know, or can you and you have
Hmm.
to ask what like Jordan Peterson, he wrote a book, 12 Rules for Life. I don't know if you read it.
Yeah, I have. It's good.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the chapter where he talks about like you have to prod 4 times to someone before you can get to the truth. So
Hmm.
because the first few times they're lying to you or they're shoving it under the table or under the beds or something. So you have to
Yeah.
keep prodding and stuff. So like for your NF, so he has NF play, right? So
Right.
he can see what's going on with the other person. So that's why he's prodding multiple times, right?
Hmm.
So
Just pinging. Yeah.
you can just steal it from him, right? You don't have to recreate it and just be like, if you feel like there's like bad energy with someone that's important to you in your life or is a friend, then you have to prod 4 times. Be like, hey, something wrong? They're like,
Yeah.
no, everything's good. Are you sure? Second time, right? They're like, yeah, I'm good. But if you hear them starting getting aggressive a little bit, you know something's wrong. It's like, come
Yeah.
on, man, I've known you your whole life. You sound aggressive right now, you know. And then they'll be like, shut the fuck up, And then now you know there's like something wrong, right? All right, come
Yeah.
on, just tell me. And they're like, fine, right? It's like, and then now
Yeah.
you get to the truth of it, and then now you're vibing, right? And then after you talk about it, guess what? You're closer friends after, because usually when you overcome something together, that's when the friendship becomes more solid. And then now they think of you as like, you know what? This Dawson guy,
Yeah.
this is the person I want to run with. Like I want to like, you know, um, build a long term friendship with. This guy gets it, right?
Yeah.
Because like most
Totally.
IP, they don't get it, but you get it.
Yeah.
You get it. You're special, right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. No, that's kind of a good tip. And I like what you said about the rest of your sleep. And of course, more catered toward the SF. And I've gotten some ping back on the NF. So it's like kind of piecing the two together, just trying to
Yeah,
figure out how it works. And I'm trying to get around the sleep by pinging the tribe to see what they do. And then
yeah,
maybe I'll work on the sleep. And and over time, I'll have to
yeah,
basically. But no, I really appreciate you sharing that. That was helpful.
yeah. And like don't beat yourself up if you don't get it down. You're 20, man. Who cares? Like it's like you got your whole life to work on it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But then again, what you're saying, just like, oh, I want to be the awesome guy who's got it figured out
exactly.
with other IPs. So I'm like, oh, that would be so cool where I'm pre-processed ahead of time and I already know what's coming. I'm simulating out in the future, the bad emotions and all that. So I'm like, I want to be ready. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
so,
if you can get to your 30s and you're 10 years ahead of the other IP, that would I like, dude, you're gonna kill it. Like no one can touch you, you know. Like that's where you
right.
want to be, right? So
Can't hurt me. Yeah.
that can't hurt me exactly. Can't hurt you. That's so
Right.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right, dude. We'll wrap up the interview here. So yeah, thanks for reaching out and you know,
Yeah.
requesting the interview. Definitely happy to have you here. So
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome. Been watching your videos for a few years, so it's nice to finally get typed and be able to do this with you. I appreciate it.
yeah, for sure, man. All right, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right, you too, Kendrick.
Bye.
Bye.